Hi, I'm Dustin and I'm the creator of RapidRig. And in this tutorial, I'll be going over how to save and load your proxies in RapidRig Modular version 3. So here's our UI. We've gone through how to do some of our other setup with creating new modules and proxies, how to edit them, how to fit them. And now we're going to look at saving and loading. So here we can save our transforms, our setup, and then we can do a couple other things we'll talk about later. But let's start with these ones here. So saving transforms allows you to save the positional data and like your translate, rotate scales of your proxies. So what I'm going to do is, for example, save a backup of this. So I'll say save transforms, and I'll throw this in here and I'll just replace my demo file here. And then I can make some changes. So let's say I scale it up and I want to move my arms, and I'll just mirror this. Okay. And let's say I added something new to it. So let's say I wanted to add I'll just throw like an auxiliary in here, and let's call it aux. Okay. And so these will remain, but let's say I wanted to get back to where it was, everything else. So what I could do is go back to here and just load my transforms. And that will position everything back to where it was initially while keeping those new modules attached. So again, if you're working on different characters and you want to be able to save your transforms from one over to the other, and even though they may not be exactly the same, you can do that. The next one is to save setup and load setup. So let's say I have the setup that I've been working on. I can save this out. So I can save this setup and I'll call this my Demo Cowboy 2. And then I can either delete it. So if I go back to here, I can say delete proxy rig, or if I choose load setup, it'll ask me if I want to delete it anyway. So I'll choose delete existing proxies, and then I'll load that in. Maybe what I'll do is I'll actually delete it manually so we can actually see something happening here. So we'll delete it, and then we'll go back to save load, load setup, and this will generate the modules that were saved, and then it'll load in the positions after. So it might take a minute or so depending on the complexity of your rig, especially if you have the face rig built. And there we go. So now it's back in our scene. So this is great if you want to, again, save this or back it up or load it onto a different character. You can have that sort of information backed up. The next option we have is to update proxy rig to latest version. So while it's still in beta, this will change a little bit, but essentially what will happen is it will check to see what version your proxy rig is in, and then it will compare to what the UI is at, like what your tool is at. And if your proxy rig is out of date, you can click this and it will ask you if you want to update it. And again, as I mentioned, this will end up having the version number or tell you that you're already up to date, but I'll just click this anyway. And what it would do is save your proxies, and then it will delete them and then load them back on, building with the latest settings. So this way, as new features are added, you should be able to upgrade your proxy rig to take advantage of those new settings. Then you'll get a little prompt saying it's been updated and now you're good to go. So the last one here is loading proxies from rig. So this is brand new. So if you've used RapidRig Modular version 2, and let's say you've forgot to back up your proxies or deleted them and don't have any way of getting them back, now if you generate a rig, so I'm actually going to build a rig here, and I'll just generate it, default settings. And this will go ahead and build the rig. Now we'll talk more about all these settings in another video, but for now, I'll just build this. And once it's complete, it'll actually store the proxy data in the rig itself. And that's, again, as a backup in case you lose it. So now that this is almost done, the head, again, will take a little longer, a lot of complexity there. Okay, we have a rig. And so let's say I were to go in and delete my proxy rig. So now that's gone, I don't have my proxies anymore in my scene, and I could be in real trouble if I wanted to make modifications to this. Now I'd have to rebuild it from scratch. So what you can now do is if you select your rig that you want to load the proxies from, you can say load proxies from rig. And what it will do is it will pull that data from the rig itself and regenerate your proxies. And then once you have that, you can then go and edit your rig or build new rigs off of that, or have this and then save it as a setup, and now you'll have it backed up so you can make changes later on. And so now you can see we have our proxy rig back to where we were. So this is a really handy feature. Hopefully you don't have to use it too often, but again, if you ever delete your proxies and you need a way to get it back, this is how you can do that.